Hi, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. We're going to let everyone come into the Zoom space, and then we will kick off the session. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Horn. I am the Associate Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding here at Bentley, and we are so excited to welcome you to our first Falcon Family Community Meeting tonight. This community meeting is a part of our larger Falcon Live Chat series that have been happening throughout this summer on Tuesday afternoons. So if you are interested in attending any more of those sessions this summer, feel free to do so. We also have all of the sessions recorded, and you can access those on our YouTube channel that we will share later on in this session. We are going to go over our agenda for tonight. So Abby, can you head to the next slide? So we are going to do a quick welcome and introductions of our panelists, go over a quick overview of this session tonight. Then we are going to hear a little bit from financial aid and student accounts, talk a little bit about what academic success looks like here at Bentley, go over what student life and new student programs is on campus and what orientation will look like for our new students, talk a little bit more about living on campus, give you all some tips and tricks for our first Falcon families, share information about our upcoming events for all of our first Falcons once the fall semester starts. And then we will go over our question and answers. So there is a Q&A box at the bottom of our screen. As you are hearing any content, if you have any questions, feel free to put that question into the Q&A box. So now I'm going to hand it over to our panelists to introduce themselves, kicking it over to Vanessa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa Velasquez. I'm the first generation and student success coordinator within student affairs, and we'll get more into what that means. But I am very excited to be here and answer any questions you may have. I'm now going to pass it over to Melissa, who's the next on my screen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Junta. I'm a senior assistant director in the Office of Financial Assistance at Bentley. I'm also a first generation college student, so we're so excited to have you here tonight. And Kellyanna?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Kellyanna Doyle. I am one of the residence directors, and I work in the residential center. So I oversee one of our first year buildings, and I specifically oversee the first gen defined community. Abby?
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby Sugar, and I'm a first-gen student. I'm an incoming junior this year. I'm from Los Angeles, but my parents are from Mexico. And I'm also part of Bentley's first-generation presidential fellowship program, if any of you know what that is. And this year, I've also been working as a student coordinator with the orientation program. So I'll be on campus when all of your students move in.
And right on time, we also have our Associate Provost for Student Success, Jane Griffin. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Bienvenidos y bienvenidas a todos y todas. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros. Sorry I'm late. My name is Jane De Leon Griffin. I am Associate Provost for Student Success. I'm also the Faculty Director for the First Gen Presidential Fellows group, which Abby just referenced. And I am very excited that you're all here joining us tonight, and welcome to the Bentley family. So thanks for being here.
Now, Jane quickly reminded me, hay algunos participantes que necesitan que esta información, esa sesión sea en español. So I briefly asked if we needed any Spanish language accommodations. If so, please let us know through the chat. Do they have access to the chat? Caroline?
They do not, but they can add it to the Q&A and we can see it there.
Okay. Entonces, si necesitan traducciones de esa información, por favor, utilice el cuya, que es para preguntas y respuestas en inglés, para indicar que necesitas esa acomodación. Gonna give it about a couple seconds. And if not, we can move on in English. Okay, let's go. All right. There we go. So welcome First Falcon family to the Bentley community. We have invited you here for a couple of reasons. One is to introduce ourselves as a resource for you, but also for your students, to answer any questions and uncertainties that you may have. College can be very daunting, intimidating. There's a lot of new language and things to figure out. But we're here for you. We'll figure it out together. We're also here to clarify, and on that note, to demystify the college application process just a little bit, and then help you know where to go when to get help when you need it. So you may have heard that I've mentioned the word First Falcon. First Falcon is how we refer to our first generation students here at Bentley University. So it's really any student whose parents or primary caretakers did not graduate from college or does not have a bachelor's degree. That might be many of you. And it's important to know this because there's a lot of different definitions out there, but this is the definition that we here use at Bentley University. And below is, of course, a picture of our class of 2026, right? Class of 2026 First Falcons during their pinning ceremony, which we'll get more into in a bit. Sorry, one second. So that's essentially what our First Falcons are. Again, if you have any questions as things come up, you're more than welcome to enter them into the chat. Does anyone have any comments they'd like to add into this? No? Okay. Thank you, Abby. Sorry. So the reason why we're so excited to welcome all of you here is because being a first generation college student can come with a lot of different assumptions. Many folks will think that they're unprepared for college compared to their multi-generational peers, and that simply isn't true. In fact, first generation students often bring with them knowledge, skills, and abilities that serve as an asset in their success. They're very resilient. They're very knowledge oriented. They're very entrepreneurial, industrious. They're independent. There are a lot of factors that probably aren't always viewed as academic, but can contribute to their academic and holistic success. So it's important to note, right now in the United States, 56% of incoming students are identifying as first generation, with 61%, not only 61%, a significant chunk, saying that they'd like to give back to their communities after they graduate. 84% increase in First Falcons within the last year. So we've made significant efforts in welcoming more first generation students and their families to be a part of the Bentley community. And overall, 21% of all Bentley undergrads identify as First Falcons. So as you can see, our family is growing. All righty. Now I'm gonna kick it off to Melissa to go over a little bit of the important stuff, how to pay for college.
The fun part of the presentation. So the Office of Financial Assistance is committed to helping students and their families make their Bentley education an affordable investment. So at this time, I'm hoping all of you have already applied for financial aid for the upcoming academic year and that you've all received your financial aid awards. At Bentley, we have about 70% of our students receive some type of financial aid. And there are various types of financial aid that are available to students, and it can be a combination of any of these or one or the other. But the first thing is, when you're admitted through Bentley, the admissions team does assess all applications to see what students are eligible for a merit-based scholarship. And then in addition to that, if students apply and are eligible for financial assistance, you can receive federal and institutional grant funding. So your federal funding would be like a federal Pell Grant, a federal SEOG grant. There are also state grants that are available as well. And then for your institutional grant, that would be something that is your Bentley grant. And then in addition to that, students are awarded the federal student loans. We do consider that a type of financial aid, as the students are eligible for that, and it helps build their credit by taking out loans. And these loans do have a lower interest rate than obtaining like a private loan. There are also campus work programs that are awarded to students. The funding pool is very limited. So if your student did not receive federal work study, that does not mean that they cannot get a job on campus. We do open up the pool to other students that weren't awarded federal work study later in October, so they can reach out to the financial aid office and ask them to be put on the wait list. And when jobs are available, and then all of the federal work study allotment has been used, then we'll go and open up that pool for Bentley work program, and students can work on campus and earn funds themselves. There are some locations on Bentley's campus that don't require federal work study. I believe Sodexo, which is the dining services, and then the bookstore. So if your student was not awarded federal work study, again, they could pop into Sodexo and the bookstore and see if there are hiring opportunities from those departments as well. If your student was awarded federal work study and they are looking for employment, the Student Employment Office should be sending out federal work study information of when they can apply for jobs in the coming weeks. And if your student is having trouble finding employment, they can always reach out to our student employment manager, and she'd be more than happy to assist them. In addition to the financial aid that's awarded by Bentley to help fund your education, there is alternative loan lending, and that is obtaining a private educational loan from a bank. We recommend at Bentley, and I'll put it in the chat, it's called Elm Select. They are a wonderful resource where you can go on, and there are many different lending options that you can kind of compare and contrast. Can't tell you which ones to apply for, but we always say make sure that you find one that best fits your financial situation and one that has a lower interest rate and a repayment term that really works with your needs. In addition to the financial aid piece, is each student is assigned their own financial aid counselor. So for example, I have the students with the last name C and D. So if your student has the last name C or D, hi, I'm your financial aid counselor. I will put in the chat as well the location where you can find where you can find who is your assigned counselor. It is on our website, and I believe on your admissions portal, when the student was admitted, the Bentley Connect portal, it was in there as well. And then the last piece about financial aid is, I know it's not the most fun thing to deal with every year, but at Bentley we do level fund. So that means as long as your income is within 25% of what it was last year. So last year when you applied for financial aid, we looked at 2021 information. So next year we'll be looking at 2022 information. As long as your income is within 25% of what it was in 2021 and what it will be in 2022, you're guaranteed a minimum level of funding as long as nothing else changes. So sometime keep in mind that if you have 2 children in college now and one is going to graduate, that will change your financial aid eligibility. So those are just some things to think of. And in terms of reapplying for financial aid next year, you only need to submit a FAFSA application, and then we'll need your 2022 tax returns and W-2 forms. And then with the new FAFSA simplification application that's coming out, it will be available later in December. Your student will receive reapply emails from our office. So just keep in mind, maybe over that winter break when the students are home, that is when you'll want to get that FAFSA completed and submit those documents to our office. Abby, if you want to go to the next slide, please. Now, I just wanted to touch upon a little bit of this because there were some questions that were asked beforehand. I don't work in student accounts, but we work closely with them. So I think I have enough knowledge that I can address some of this information to you. But the student accounts office is responsible for the billing and collecting of fees for tuition, housing, meal plans, health insurance, the computers, parking violations, and any other applicable fees. And their goal is to work with students and parents to resolve their outstanding balances. So all of you know by now, and hopefully you're not learning this for the first time today, but you did receive your tuition bill about 3 weeks ago. So the fall tuition due date is next week, which is August 7th. And then the spring semester, that will be billed in early December, and that will be due January 9th. So if any parent here is like, I didn't get a bill, your student has access through their Workday account, which I am assuming they would have been emailed. All this information is set up. They can also set you up as an authorized user, and all that information is on the student accounts website. In addition to accessing your bill, Every student is charged health insurance by Bentley. So if you are a domestic student, you have to take action on your health insurance. So you'll either enroll or waive the student health insurance. So you want to do that at universityhealthplans.com. If you are enrolling in the health insurance, that's perfect. You want to do that as soon as possible so your coverage can begin, and you won't be charged anything extra because you've already been charged this on your bill. If you are waiving the student health insurance and haven't done so yet, when you go and waive this application, the charge will actually come off and lower what your balance is due for the fall semester. So I would definitely recommend that if you're covered under health insurance and it complies with what Massachusetts requires, go ahead and waive that so you can get that $2,481 charge off your bill for the fall semester. Our international students, if we have anyone here tonight that is international, you are forced enrolled in the student health insurance and you're not eligible to waive it. And then the last piece is, again, I don't work in student accounts, but I just wanted you to have this information. If you have any questions about the billing, making payments, or the health insurance, you can go to, you can email their office at ga_student_accounts@bentley.edu, or you can email them with their phone number there.
All right, so I'm up. So I am originally a Bentley faculty member and professor. I've been at Bentley for 13 years. I started teaching Spanish and Latin American literature in the Department of Modern Languages. And now I am the Associate Provost for Student Success. So I'm really in charge of making sure that all of our systems and operations campus-wide are set up to support your students as best possible so that they can be successful in the classroom. Sorry, I have a little helper here. So I wanted to talk to you about a couple things to set your students up for academic success. Give me 1 second, please. Garrett, I need you to go in the other room right now, please. Thank you. The first is something that is a class that they're all going to be taking in the fall called the Falcon Discovery Seminar. And it is something that they should have already registered for. They were able to choose that class, and that is really the foundation of student success here at Bentley. It's a course that all of our first semester, first year students take, and it is meant to set your students up for success. Half of it is an introduction to college life and what they need to know to be successful in their next 3 to 4 years on campus here at Bentley. And the other half of it is an introduction to academic inquiry and study. So they're going to be studying a wicked problem, something that really has no answer, but that's what we academics do. We research things and really oftentimes come up with more questions than we have answers. And so that class will be an introduction for them and hopefully will provide them with a great foundation to succeed in all of their other classes that they take here at the university. The next thing I wanted to highlight was academic advising. That is where your students will be going to get help if they have any questions about what to major in, what minors are available to them, what courses they need to take for the upcoming semester. They're going to be registering for their spring semester of classes in November. So they should meet with their academic advisor before that to get a sense of which classes they should be taking. The good news is at Bentley, the first year, there are a lot of courses that we, prescribe to first year students that are really just kind of take these now. And so there is flexibility. Your students can choose within those options. But really until they get into their second, third year, things are pretty well established, but they should reach out to academic advising with any questions on which courses to take for this spring semester, or if they have questions about what they want to major in. Our Bentley Library is an incredible resource, especially to our first Falcons. It has a lot of information that will help students in all of their classes. So I strongly recommend to use that as a resource. They especially have a page that they've created just for first generation college students. And it has a ton of resources there that are very helpful. And the librarians are always on staff and ready to answer any questions. It's a great place to go if students just need help and don't know where to go. They can always walk into the library and ask a librarian. Professors have something called office hours. It's a little misleading. It might not be what you think, but it's essentially a time when students can go and meet with their professor in their office to talk about any questions that they have about the class that they're taking. And as a professor myself, I can tell you that every time a student ever has come to my office hours, their grade just automatically improves because I know that they care about my class. I end up getting to know the student better on a one-to-one basis, and the relationship improves. And when the relationship improves, typically the grade also improves. Not always, but most of the time. So I just always strongly encourage my students to go to their professor's office hours and share information, even if it's not directly related to the class. Maybe there's something that's happening in their personal life and it's inhibiting their ability to do well in the class. Professors want to know about that. They want to help, they want to be a resource. And professors are the people on campus that students see the most because they're in class all day long, every day, and they're a great resource. So if your student has anything going on that they think they should share with their faculty, they should do that because it typically will point them in a direction to get better resources and will help them with their ability to succeed in their coursework. Two more things, and then I'll pass it off. One is something that we call high impact practices. And examples here that I'm sharing are service learning. We have an amazing service learning, Bentley Service Learning and Civic Engagement Center, where students can find an experience in the community that links up with a course that they're taking. They can actually get academic credit for working in the community on a project that is related to a class that they're taking. When you apply the knowledge that you're learning in the classroom in a real world experience, you learn it better, and it's just a better experience all around. Plus you're giving back to your community at the same time. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Our students love this program and strongly encourage you and your students to get involved in Bentley Service Learning. Something else is study abroad. We have lots and lots of different options for study abroad at Bentley. It could be anything from a semester to a year to a week. Really, there are lots of different options. And if it's something that you can't afford, we have different scholarships available specifically for first-generation college students to study abroad. And so you can reach out to myself or Vanessa or the study abroad office to learn more about that. We have lots of opportunities for research on campus. Back to Melissa talking about how to pay for college. We even have opportunities for students to get paid to do research, either research that they themselves have designed or a research project that they assist a faculty member with. So we have opportunities for that. That looks great on a resume. And of course, internships. Bentley students love internships. So your students will have a lot of access to work with our Pulsifer Career Development Center to find internships. And what you should know is that students can get paid to do internships. They can also get course credit to do internships. Students can get up to 7 academic credits for an internship that they're doing. And so those are great opportunities. Last thing I'm going to say, if you type Bentley University lingo into Google, you should be directed to a PDF. I just took a screenshot of a portion of this PDF because it's much longer than what you see here. What we try to do with this PDF is basically translate a lot of the lingo and jargon that we use in higher ed and here on our Bentley campus. Give me 1 second, please, and then I'm all yours. And so that it's a little bit easier to understand for first year students and people who, might not have as much exposure to university life. So we have something on campus called BOMS. You might not have any idea what that means. If you look it up on the Bentley lingo page, you'll get a definition of what that means. So we'll make sure that all of you have access to that link, but it's a great resource for you and your students. And thank you for your patience while I'm here with my little helper. I appreciate it. Just a little while till she goes off to college, but I'll be in your shoes someday, and I'm going to pass it off.
Thank you. I highly recommend everybody check out the Bentley lingo. I've been at Bentley for a couple months now, and when I first heard night bums, I can tell you that my reaction was probably not a healthy one. So it's good to get as much information as you can and know that it's okay that we learn as we go. I also want to give a shout out to Vera, who has been incredible. Thank you for accompanying mommy. I do have a little one behind me, so if you see me distracted, it might be that reason why. So I apologize. But let's go on to the next slide, Abby. Now this is where I come in. Yes, your students are coming in. They are going to be taking many classes and hopefully graduating with a degree within 4 to 6 years, typically 4. But many of them are also going to be living on campus. And when you're living on campus full time, there's a lot of things that are going to come up. You're going to get sick, unfortunately. I think the flu tends to do a couple rounds. I am crossing my fingers that we do not enter another pandemic. We don't need any of that. I think we're good with that. But there are other aspects of Bentley that are not so academic that we feel is just as important for the well-being of your student. So I work specifically with the Vice President of Student Affairs, and we are the office that kind of oversees a lot of the non-academic resources that your student will be able to utilize during their time here. We're really dedicated, again, to the well-being and success of your student with an emphasis on leadership and personal development. So anytime your student encounters any staff members within Student Affairs, they will probably be engaged in some type of leadership development or personal development. We also like to identify all of our staff members as mentors or frequent points of contact for students outside of the academic world. So if you feel like your student is struggling to fit in or hasn't really found their community, you can always direct them to us, and I will explain who us is in a bit. And we can always try to find a way to support them so that they can make sure that Bentley starts to feel like their own home. So I listed here just briefly the different departments that make up the Division of Student Affairs. So the Health Center, we do have a health center here, staffed with nurse practitioners and more. We have the Wellness Center that focuses more on well-being, self-care, not so much medical, but not exactly psychological, because then we have our counseling center that comes in and provides that mental health support, which we have noticed has been very important in recent years, and it's understandably why. We also work directly with the university police that embraces a community policing approach. So a lot of them are really they're just amazing people that walk around campus and just are great friends or resources. They're always there to help you out if you need to lift something heavy, if your tire blew out. I highly recommend encouraging your students to stop by and say hi. Our favorite police officer, I would say, is Blue. He is a Black lab and a popular figure on campus that I'm sure most of you will hopefully get a chance to meet. We then have residential life, of course, because our students live on campus, and Kellyanna will touch on that in a little bit. We have student program and engagement. So student programs and engagement oversee a lot of the programming on campus, a lot of the clubs, organizations, peer leadership opportunities, whether they're fraternities or sororities. It is a very social component of, sorry, my child's giggling. I don't know what was funny about that, but they engage in the social aspect of Bentley. I encourage all students, everyone I meet, to try to participate in some type of club, organization, anything, because that's a great way for them to develop skills that they will later on use in the workforce. But we'll get more on that in a bit too. We have student conduct and care. So if your student accidentally does something that, kind of breaks our rules, our goal is really to make it an educational experience on the conduct side. On the care side, if your student is struggling in whatever ways, there's a team of us also dedicated to provide the support that they need to get through that rough patch. This could be the illness of a family member, financial hardship, or a personal illness themselves. Spiritual life is also there. We recently hired a new director who has extensive background working with interfaith communities. And then there's new student programs, which Caroline will discuss a little more. We also have our Multicultural Center that was recently named after Claudette Blott, who has been here for quite a number of years. She is often referred to as Mama Blott. I have a feeling you'll hear about her once your students get into the semester. But the Multicultural Center has a lounge that was just recently renovated, and it's an excellent spot for your students to meet new friends and just hang out, watch a movie, have lunch with their classmates, and learn about new opportunities. And it's welcome to all. Then there's the student equity and inclusion, which is a team of highly skilled folks that are dedicated in making sure that different areas of Bentley are accessible and equitable to all. Under that, we have the Center for International Students and Scholars. So there are dedicated staff members for your students. If you do have an international student, they will answer all like the visa questions and work permits, etc. And under student equity and inclusion is also the Gender and Sexuality Student Lounge and programming. So we do a lot of programs to ensure that everyone is welcomed at Bentley University. And we do have a dedicated lounge as well. Now I see that there are a couple of questions. Let's see. So under this is also athletics. And we do have a gym that is dedicated for athletes specifically. Typically, I can't say for sure whether the gym is overcrowded. If anyone else wants to jump in, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I can speak to it actually really quickly. So the question was about overcrowding in the gym. So I think if you think about Planet Fitness, a gym that doesn't cost a lot to go to, that a lot of people are interested in, they always have deals going on. The time of day that you go to the gym really matters, right? A lot of people are going after 5, they're trying, getting out of work or going before they have dinner. That same experience of going to like a Planet Fitness, I think holds for our gym as well. So students are, in between classes at certain times. Once your students understand the flow and the times of when classes are happening, you're going to see more students in the in-between times, or maybe I would say between the 4 and 6, because they have night classes at 6. So it really depends on what time you go to the gym. You definitely can go to the gym and not feel like it's crowded, but absolutely if you're going at a hot time and there's a lot of people there, sure. I don't know if I would use the word overcrowded, just because I've never really heard of that word being used for the gym, but absolutely you can go at a time where it's really busy and maybe you decide to go for a walk and then come back. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my understanding too that the athletes have their own spaces to practice, and
It's separate.
It's very separate from what's available to like most. And
Yes.
we do have plans on hopefully expanding that in the future, but these are concerns that we have heard and we are working with. But it's as Kellyanna says, it typically depends on the time that you go. Early morning is usually empty, as I've heard from a couple of students that work there. But there are also local gyms nearby. In student affairs, we don't necessarily manage the food per se. That is a separate company, Sodexo, that we work with. And one of the questions that came up also was that the food isn't good. I will say this, a lot of us eat at the 921. We enjoy our lunches. Our residential directors have meal plans as well that are from the 921. I think everyone has very different taste in food. Some of us come from cultural backgrounds where we include a significant amount of spices and flavors. So if you're coming from that and then you're going to something that perhaps is like a salad and pizza, it can be a little bit of a culture shock. But I don't think I've ever had an experience personally where I said this food is gross. It's very healthy. There is a lot of variety, and we are working to increase that variety as well. Not sure if anyone else has something they would like to add to that.
Yeah, I would say along with variety, I think the 921, which is the name of our dining hall, does a great job at providing options for students who are vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, and food sensitive. So there are a lot of options for students who, maybe can't eat, or have food restrictions, to better say that. Of course, not everyone likes every kind of food. So if the feature of the night is an Indian cuisine and you just don't like Indian food, you're going to say that was nasty. And I think we see that a lot with students where maybe they're not ready to try new things, or they're like, oh, we already had this, I'm not feeling like eating this. So I think, I don't know if I would necessarily say the food is bad. I think it really depends on what do you like to eat? But the dining hall, there's many, many different food options on campus. So we do have our 921, which is our traditional buffet style of dining, but we also have more of like a food court style where there's 6 different stations between subs, make your own salads, make your own pasta, sushi. We have a professional sushi chef. We have a grill. You literally could get any food that you want, and that is also provided within the meal plan. So if you're not feeling what they're serving at the our buffet style dining hall, you could go up there. We also have our pub that's open late nights. You can have late night that's more like fried burgers, more fried food, more fun food. And then we also have kind of smaller things like Einstein's Bagels, which is for breakfast. And we have Naturals, which is our smoothie and acai bowl station. So there's a lot of options for sure. And again, it's just kind of what you prefer.
Thank you so much, Kaliana. So Abby, maybe we can go on to the next one just for the sake of time, and we'll answer more questions at the end. All right, so a lot of us work in collaboration with the Center for First Generation Student Success, which is a national office that really tries to measure different levels of success that different universities have working with first generation students. These are some of the statistics that we wanted to share with you that they have had so far in their research. 31% have held former leadership roles, very few participated in research projects, around 23% engage in paid internships, and less than that, 8% engage in study abroad. And we can change these numbers with your support. My ask of all is to encourage your students to participate in leadership opportunities involving clubs, organizations, and peer leadership. This is a great way for them to then further develop their the skills that they're going to need when they go into the workforce, as I mentioned previously. And it's a great way for them to get to know other people. They'll get to know people who have similar interests with them. They'll get to meet professors who might be able to support in advancing their career. It's a great way for them to develop relationships and make the college experience all the more meaningful. This also prepares them for when they're graduating so that they can add content to their resumes. And it also makes the adjustment from high school to college a little easier as well, because you'll be able to meet people who have probably been in their shoes prior and can guide them along the way. And with that note, it also reduces loneliness and that impact of culture shock. So these are some things that we just wanted to share with you to let you know these are all great opportunities. It's okay if your student at one point says, you know, I'm not sure if that's for me. Encourage them to engage with one of their staff or faculty members so that they can hear other perspectives and maybe they'll change their minds. So that's it from me here. Not sure, Abby. All right, this is now new student programs. I am familiar with it. I am not the expert with it, so I'm going to toss it over to Caroline.
Hi, everyone. So I'm excited to share a little bit of information about our department and really about orientation. We will start orientation in just about a month from today. So we are excited to welcome all of you to the Bentley community. So our office supports our new undergraduate students through onboarding, orientation, and transition programming. We also work collaboratively to welcome our family members to the Bentley community because we really do see our family members as partners in their students' success while they are on campus. So the first piece that we want to talk a little bit about today is the new student checklist and online orientation. So since your student deposited in May, they've been asked to complete some different tasks to really prepare them to start orientation and their first semester at Bentley. So really encouraging your students, some of those checklist items have passed, but really making sure that they're going back and ensuring that they have really done all of those different tasks. Last week, we had our new student registration process. So our students were able to connect with our academic advising team and pick those courses for their first semester. They received their housing assignments last week. So a lot of exciting things are happening during this time, and we are excited to really kick off the full in-person orientation at the end of August. For this, we have our virtual orientation group meet and greet on August 27th. So this is a time for all of your students to connect with their orientation leader and their orientation small groups. So this happens before students even come to campus. They can really start connecting with their peers and feeling a sense of community before they even move onto campus. Our orientation program this year will run from August 31st through September 4th, and that will take place on campus. We do have a few different pre-orientation and early move-ins that I know Kaliana will touch upon as well, but we will have our Mosaic program beginning on the Monday. We have defined community move-in on the Tuesday, and then we will have an international student welcome and orientation that will start on Wednesday, August 30th. So we have various opportunities for our new students to connect with various cohorts before our new student orientation program begins on the 31st. On that day, that will start with move-in, and it will also have a new student convocation. And this is a space that's welcome. All family members, all students are really welcome to that space. It's a really great kickoff to our fall semester. And this year we will end that convocation with a family reception. So all of our family members will stay in the Bentley Arena, whereas all of our new students will head to the Dana Center for the official kickoff of orientation. We have various pieces of our orientation program. So we'll go over what does it look like to be a student at Bentley. We will talk more about what does it look like to be a Bentley community member. We'll continue those small group meetings with our orientation team, which are upper class student leaders on campus. And then we will talk a little bit about community guidelines as well. So we have a great program built for you all this year, and we're excited to meet all of our new students. After orientation, we will have a virtual family workshop that we will share more information on date and time in the next few weeks. But this will really give you a recap of the orientation program. We'll give you an opportunity to connect with some of our academic advising team and talk a little bit more about what does it look like to be engaged as a family member. And then at the beginning of the start of the fall semester, we have our Falcon 40 programming, which is 40 days of programming for our new students. So we sent out a calendar of every different event that's happening on campus that's available for our new students. And we really encourage students to take advantage of those involvement opportunities. They can go to our organization fair, they can go to a football game, they can go to a Bentley Plus advising session. There's a lot of different programs that happen on campus during those first 6 weeks of the semester. And studies show that if students are participating in that, then they are having a better experience and really feeling like they do belong on campus. And then finally, we have a leadership retreat for our new students called Falcon Foundations, and we will share more information on that. That will take place at the end of October, early November, and we will share more information during orientation on that, but really an opportunity to connect with students that they may not connect with within the residence halls or classes, but a small cohort of students. We accept about 20 to 30 students to connect with upper class mentors and learn more about leadership and getting involved on campus. We also have a quick pitch for our orientation, pre-orientation, and more virtual live chat tomorrow, where we will really dive into orientation more and some of the different pieces of our pre-orientation programs. And I will hand it over to Kellyanna.
Thank you. So this is just a little bit of information from the residential center. Your student has received emails. The email would come from GA_housing, which is our office's email. That's where they're going to receive all the information regarding their move-in. So I kind of put here, first year move-in is Thursday, August 31st. I know there was a question regarding when students are moving in. If you were accepted into a defined community, for example, our first gen, honors, Her Story, arts, Thrive, Blueprint, any of these defined communities, you're actually moving in 2 days earlier. Your student is moving in 2 days earlier. And that's going to be on Tuesday, August 29th. We have some programming designed specifically for the students that are in those defined communities, which are not so much living learning communities, but they're communities where students with similar interests live together. And we have programming specifically for them. Also, if your student applied for the Mosaic program, they're going to move in Monday, August 28th. So while the traditional move-in day is August 31st, if your student is in a defined community or if they are a Mosaic student, again, they will know this. They will receive emails about this. If they are one or the other, that is when they will move in. Moving times will be sent to your student's Bentley email in the upcoming weeks. It'll tell them, between 9 and 9:30 or 9:30 and 10. We like to space it out so that we don't have hordes of people coming all at the same time and, really trying to balance traffic flow. So please come at the respected time so that we're able to help you, to support you in moving in. Another question was, are there elevators in trees? I will tell you there are no elevators in any of the first year buildings. So if you're in Trees, Slade, Miller, or Kresge, we do not have elevators. What we do have is we hire some movers, professional movers. We don't have enough for one per student, but we hire enough to help you carry your bigger items up the stairs. So I will also say the stairs, I think the tallest floor is like 4th floor, and the flights are not long, I promise. So well, they can help you move the heavy things, but it is doable for sure. Next, bills. So I know Melissa already talked about it, but your current bill should be, it is updated with your housing and meal plan currently. If you would like to change your meal plan, you absolutely can. I know for first year students, we ask that you have the block 3, so you should be all set with that. After following move-in, you can adjust anything on your bill if you need it to be adjusted. And if you have any questions, you definitely can just reach out to GA_housing. And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about what it's like to live in the residence halls, but I think Abby would actually be a perfect person to do that because she lives in the residence halls. So Abby, what's kind of your experience? I put like dining hall housing style, but talk a little bit about what your experience has been.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I lived in Miller, and it was nice. So we hadn't had an established first generation defined community yet, but I had the opportunity to live in the same hallway as the other students in my first gen program. So that was kind of similar to a defined community in the sense that everyone that lived in my hallway was first generation, and that was just a really great resource for me. I got to kind of live with the people that became my best friends and the people that I just hung around with most of the time. And the dining hall is kind of like in a kind of middle point location in relation to all the freshman dorms. So that's really nice. You don't really have to go very far. And that's mostly where I went to the 921. That's like the main dining hall, and all freshmen are on the same meal plan. So you kind of just can go as many times as you want. It's really rare for anyone to run out of meal swipes for freshman year because you just have so many. I really had no issues living in Miller. It's a really nice dorm. I don't know about trees. Kidding. It'll be fine. Everyone will be fine. But I had one roommate and every hallway has an RA, which is a resident assistant. So if you're ever having any roommate troubles or just feeling homesick or literally anything at all, they're always there as a resource. And then you can also always go to your RD, which is your resident director, with any problems at all. I remember my freshman year, it was my first time living with a roommate, and that was a little bit difficult. So my RA was a good resource for me. Sophomore year, or at each year you get to live in kind of different style dorms. So my sophomore year, this past year, I lived in a suite, which allowed me to live with four roommates rather than just the one. So you definitely aren't constrained to just the freshman style living. So yeah, there's just every year there's something to look forward to for the next year in terms of housing.
Awesome. Thank you, Abby. Let's see. So I know a lot of us here are diligently answering questions in the Q&A. So please feel free to check that out if you have any questions as well. And maybe we can go on. Let's see here. So this is a quote from one of our most recent graduates who wrote a poem for us during one of our celebratory ceremonies. And it's really an emphasis on how our diversity is really a strength. And it reads that our past sets us apart, but we wear it with pride in our hearts. For it tells a story of resilience and might, a history that shines like a beacon of light. And I wanted to share that with you because I feel like it speaks to the first generation experience, specifically here at Bentley. It is an incredible community, and we are hoping to expand that and welcome more folks to our family. Okay. So does anyone have any other questions for Kaliana regarding the residential life, or any questions for Abby? And there's a couple there in the Q&A. So we can go ahead and move on to our next bit while Kellyanna answers those in the chat. So we've had a lot of information thrown at you. It can be overwhelming, and I know this is really weird, but that's actually, that's okay. Because you don't have to know it all. So let me just go over a couple of tips and tricks that I have for students' families, so that it doesn't feel so scary right now. One of the best ways that you can support your student while they're away at college is to remind them that they're not alone. As I mentioned several times, I sound like a broken record at this point, but there are dedicated staff and faculties that are ready to step in and support with whatever comes their way. So as Jane mentioned previously, if there's a personal concern going on at home, we may have the resources to step in and provide that support so that it doesn't feel like such a burden in that moment while they're in college. Definitely empower them to become involved in co-curricular efforts on campus. One note that I, as a first generation college student, wish someone had told my family members in the best of ways is to honor their boundaries. So studying in college is a full-time job. It is very different from high school. Sometimes we are engaged in research projects that can go for hours on end. There will be late nights, there will be high stress. One of the best ways that you can ensure their success is to provide them with the time and the space to work on their assignments when they are at home, if they do go home frequently, especially for our local families. Try to schedule family commitments outside of exam time. So it's typically midterms and finals. So it's halfway through the academic semester and right towards the end of the semester. And they'll most likely be able to let you know exactly when those days are. Always approach them with curiosity. You know, this is a learning curve for both of you, for all of you really. So phrase your concerns as questions, express an interest in their work in the form of curiosity. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No one's expected to know everything about Bentley. I still don't know everything about Bentley, although I do feel very knowledgeable now that I've been here for a couple of months, but you really do learn as you go. And one of the things I always love to emphasize is that there is no such thing as a silly question. We will not judge you if you feel like you're asking something super repetitive or redundantly. We do pride ourselves in our spirit of collaboration and caring, and we strive to lead our students by that example. So as you can see, many of us here on this call work in different divisions in different areas of the university, but we frequently come together to make sure that we're supporting each other in order to better support your student. And be mindful that change typically equals stress. Our bodies will think that we're in trouble, like something's very different from the norm, and it's very easy to go into that culture shock where it's difficult to process information. Your student can have the best experience, but also be impacted by some of that stress. And that's where we know that our wellness team will come in, or our staff members will come in, our faculty will come in and support your students. But allow yourself some grace. Because this is just a part of it's not a sign of something bad happening, but a sign that both you and your students are growing in this transitionary phase. And your student doesn't have to have everything figured out right now. I can tell you from personal experience, and maybe Abby might be able to speak to this, or other first-gen college students here on this call. When I first started college, I started out as a history major. A semester in, after taking a couple of history courses, I said, absolutely not. I am falling asleep. I cannot focus. My grades are being impacted. I love the topic, but it's just not for me. So I was able to be undecided for another semester to explore different academic fields that I thought might be more aligned with what I wanted to do post-graduation. And that's okay. That's actually one of the best ways to really find yourself. And that's what college is really about. So figuring out, you know, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are you passionate about? And it doesn't mean that they're going to graduate later on, because a lot of the times, a lot of the courses, and maybe Jake can speak to more about this, will count as general requirements, but be focused on a specific topic or academic discipline. So that's another way for them to not necessarily fall behind. And the other thing too is that we know, and I can say this as a mom, is that you never stop being a parent. My little one is only 6, but I'm already freaking out, thinking he's gonna go halfway across the country and I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. Is he okay? Did he take his medication? Did he like do his bed? Is he sad? Is he being bullied? And again, probably language that you only speak with a 6-year-old about, but you never stop being a parent. And we're here for you if you have any concerns, if you feel like your student isn't reaching out or they've been really quiet lately. We're here to answer any questions, concerns, and uncertainties that you have. So please do not hesitate to reach out to any of us here, because you are a part of our family now, and we're kind of in this together for the long run. So those are just a couple of things that I wanted to share with all of our first generation or our first Falcon families. Thank you. If anyone else wants to chime in, please feel free to do so. But again, we're keeping an eye on the Q&A as well. Okay, so I guess we can move on. With all that being said, I forgot that I was up next. We do have a lot of upcoming events here that are to celebrate your students and you as well. One of the first things is during orientation on September 1st at noon, lunchtime, there will be a First Falcons lunch. So this will be a lunch with a lot of, with myself being there, hopefully many of us here on this call, if they can make it. There will be some first generation staff members that can understand your students' experience and are going to be there to really just have lunch and get to know each other. So it's really to welcome everybody to campus. We are then followed up by our First Falcon Leadership Institute. This is a 2-day workshop where we engage our first generation students in the different concepts of grassroots leadership. So it's a great professional development workshop that starts introducing them to that discipline as they start navigating their time in college. We then have a more formal event during our Falcon weekends, when we invite our families to campus. Not sure if Jane might want to have a little more to say on the pinning ceremony. I'm happy to take over as well. I don't want to feel like I'm the only one talking.
I would only say that please be on the lookout for an invitation in your email inbox to this event. We really hope as many of you as possible can attend. It's going to be on the morning of Saturday, October 14th, and it's an opportunity to celebrate your student and their families. That means all of you and all the accomplishment that you have had just to get to college. So we really hope to see all of you there.
That was awesome. Wow. Thank you, Jane. So yes, we really do hope to see you there. It is in October. Let us know if you have any concerns with getting to campus, and we'll see how we can best support you. We also have the First Falcons Week, which is a week-long celebration of all first-generation students, especially here at Bentley. That starts on November 4th with our first-generation football game, where we will be honoring our first-generation athletes. And we do encourage family members to participate in that as well, as you are a part of our community. There is a question that I believe Jane is already answering, so I won't answer that just yet. But those are just a couple of days to be on the lookout for. So it'll be September 1st for a lunch, the Leadership Institute in October, the Falcon Weekends, which is really fun, and then our football game starting on November 4th. So encourage your students to be on the lookout for invitations and emails from us so that they can participate in those events, because it is a great way to build community and be a part of the First Falcon family. Okay. All right, Abby. Oh, so I just got my ears pulled. The lunch is August 31st, Caroline. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Orientation starts on Thursday, August 31st. So if your student is not participating in one of those early move-ins, that is when your student will move in, and we will have lunch available for all of our new students and family members that day. And that is where you'll be able to really connect with other first-gen families and our community at lunch. And then you can head over to our vendor fair and to convocation.
Thank you, Caroline. So before we let you go, we do have a quick little survey that we would love for you to fill out. All you have to do is really open up the camera on your phone, scan this QR code, and answer a couple quick questions. It should take no more than a minute or two. This will help us improve on the presentation, so make sure that you and your students feel prepared for when they come to Bentley. Let's see. In the meantime, we are still answering a couple questions here in the chat. All right. Okay. Is there a way to answer questions in lifetime, or they would only come to the chat?
I can respond to the can we ship belongings before move-in? So there is an issue because our mailroom doesn't open sometimes. So if you ship things early, they'll be on campus, but your student might not have access to pick them up at a certain time. Kellyanna, you're looking like.
No, actually, we do have the mailroom open the whole day of move-in. So the students that do ship their things, you can pick them up while you're moving in. So if you look on our Bentley website, we have our mailing address. You can just type in like in the search engine under our website, mail services, and it'll give you the address that you can send your things to, and you can pick them up on move-in day.
Yeah, but if you're coming to campus early, like for instance, for Mosaic, you would need your things before move-in day. So what I've been told is to have students reach out to orientation to find out how they can ship things to campus prior to move-in day. Does that sound right, Caroline?
Yeah, I'm also going to add the website to the mailroom into the chat right now, and everybody will be able to access that. So that will give you the address, that will give you more information on how to ship it to campus and how to access it. So have that there.
These are all really great questions. Please feel free to continue to utilize the chat to ask any other questions that you may have. I know we are a little bit over time. We can move on to the final thank you slide. So that's what we have for you today. I'm not sure if any other of the panelists have anything else they'd like to add.
So this session tonight was geared towards our First Falcon families, but we also have a Q&A on our Instagram channel this week for our First Falcons. So if they have any questions that have been coming up, they can ask those questions on our Welcome Falcons Instagram, and we will answer all of those questions on Friday. Vanessa will be we'll do a takeover on Friday and answer those, but we will also have our student coordinator team helping to answer some of those questions from the student perspective as well. So really encourage your students to look into our Instagram and that Q&A so we can answer those questions.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, everyone. We're looking forward to seeing you and your students on campus very soon.
All right. Seems like there's no more questions, so I echo what Jane said. Thank you so much. We'll see you all during orientation.
Have a good night.
Bye.